In a world where mastery takes decades, he needs only seconds. 1 second for C rank, 2 seconds for master level, 3 seconds for flawless SSS techniques. Because the system chose him, and it made him untouchable. The story opened with the sharp crack of fists colliding during a sparring session. Su-hong's punch sent his opponent stumbling backward. The boy clutched his arm, complaining that the pain was unbearable. Still wincing, he admitted that Su-hong's diamond fist had improved dramatically. He asked whether Su-hong had finally reached the level of subtlety, the third stage among the 5 tiers of martial mastery, which ranged from entry level to perfection. Su-hong calmly confirmed that he had recently broken through to subtlety. His classmate congratulated him, saying that no one in their class could match his level anymore. But before they could continue, the boy quickly ran off, joking that Su-hong was a training maniac and that he was heading home to eat. As the gym quieted down, their teacher Lee approached Su-hong. He asked whether Su-hong planned to apply for the martial division exam and why he had not yet paid the 30,000 yuan registration fee. Registration would close next Monday. Su-hong respectfully asked for a few more days. Teacher Lee sighed and said he understood Su-hong's family situation, but rules were rules. There was nothing he could do. Left alone in the training hall, Su-hong continued practicing. But this time his fists were heavier with worry. 30,000 yuan, how could he possibly come up with that kind of money? His thoughts drifted to the past, to the day his parents were killed during a ferocious beast attack. Since then, he had been living with his uncle and aunt. When they discovered his martial arts talent, they supported him wholeheartedly. In this era where ferocious beasts roamed freely, martial artists were the highest earners and the strongest protectors of humanity. He had trained not just for himself, but to give his uncle and aunt a better life. Yet now he felt like a burden. That night when he returned home, he overheard his uncle and aunt discussing their finances. Rent was due soon. The registration fee was still unpaid. His aunt suggested stopping her medication to save money, saying it was ineffective anyway. His uncle immediately refused and insisted he would work an extra job instead. He told her she should rest and not worry. Hearing this, Su-hong stood silently outside the door, overwhelmed. He slapped himself lightly, forced a smile, and walked in as if nothing had happened. When he offered to take on work instead, his aunt gently refused and told him to rest and conserve his energy for training. Later, lying in bed, Su-hong resolved that he would handle this problem himself. For a martial practitioner to earn tens of thousands of yuan in just a few days, there was only one option: an underground arena, the Undergrounder. The scene shifted to a roaring fight club. An announcer excitedly declared that Mr. Minotaur would defend the stage tonight. That Minotaur was Su-hong, wearing a mask. The rules were simple: win 4 consecutive rounds and claim 60,000 yuan, lose once and walk away with nothing. The audience mocked him, calling him a rook. The host told him to hype up the crowd. Confused at first, Su-hong boldly declared that he was invincible and that anyone who stepped up would be knocked down. The crowd erupted in anger, shouting for someone to crush him. But inside, Su-hong remained serious. He had to win. This was his only chance. First 3 rounds. His first opponent charged recklessly. Su-hong observed that although the man had strong supplements in his system, his stance was unstable. With a single powerful strike, Su-hong knocked him unconscious. The crowd roared. The second opponent mocked him, claiming the first victory was luck. Su-hong calmly invited him to attack first. When the blonde fighter rushed forward, Su-hong blocked his punch. He immediately noticed that the man's strikes were weaker than his own and that his form left his waist exposed. With one precise kick, Su-hong sent him flying. Then came the third challenger. He fell as well. 3 consecutive victories. In a private VIP lounge overlooking the arena, an elderly man observed Su-hong's performance with interest. He commented that the younger generation was impressive. A man wearing a white fox mask offered to step in. The old man agreed, but warned him not to reveal his advanced martial techniques. As Su-hong prepared for his final opponent, the crowd suddenly recognized the newcomer. It was White Fox, a quasi-official disciple of a powerful martial faction. Su-hong sensed danger but could not back down. White Fox assured him he would limit his strength. The match began. The moment their fists clashed, Su-hong realized something was wrong. White Fox was not merely a quasi-disciple, he was a true martial artist, deliberately suppressing his chi and blood energy. White Fox's punches grew increasingly aggressive. Su-hong defended desperately as blood spilled from his mouth. The audience, once hostile, began shouting for him to fight back. He searched for an opening, but White Fox broke through his guard and struck him squarely in the face. Su-hong's vision blurred. His consciousness began fading. White Fox mocked him, declaring the match over and reminding him that he would receive 0 prize money. He added that his teacher had taken an interest in Su-hong and offered him a place under their faction. In exchange, he would earn money by fighting for them. Su-hong refused without hesitation. He said he would never do such dirty work. White Fox warned him to reconsider. Refusal was not something he could afford. Su-hong mocked him instead, asking how someone who relied on such tactics could call himself a martial artist. Taking this as a final rejection, White Fox prepared to end the fight and declared that Su-hong would never become a true martial artist. Just as the finishing blow descended, something shifted. Su-hong suddenly dodged. An intense aura surged from his body. White Fox was stunned. How was he still standing? Inside his mind, Su-hong's thoughts burned fiercely. He could not waste his uncle and aunt's sacrifices. He would not let their years of hardship end in failure. He wanted to give them a good life. He refused to lose. The screen flickered in the void with a single demand. It wanted to know what price he was willing to pay. Su-hong didn't hesitate. He answered that he would give everything, and the moment the words left him, a sharp sound rang out and the world around him came apart. He found himself standing in an unknown digital space somewhere between real and impossible. He looked around and called out, demanding to know where he was and what had brought him here. The answer took shape slowly. A towering figure of gold and light formed before him, radiating quiet power. It communicated something simple. He would be given one chance. Then the space around him continued to shift. A floating interface materialized directly in front of him. It listed his name at the top, his blood energy at 85, and his physique at a lowly 3%. He reached out experimentally, found that it responded to touch, and navigated through the menus until he found a quest titled Path of the Arena. The task was to hone his diamond fist and other techniques by defeating opponents labeled as white foxes. He scrolled to the rewards section and his expression fell slightly. The beginner tutorial offered nothing for completion. He grimaced but moved on. Then a clone of him stepped out of the air and launched directly into a diamond fist sequence. Every movement was precise and polished, cleaner than anything Su-hong had managed himself. He watched carefully and committed the form to memory. Then the clone hit him. The blow landed without warning and knocked him back. Pain flared through his side, but before he could recover, a notification blinked across his vision, showing his progress had jumped to 10% from a single exchange. He straightened up and understood. This was the method. He threw himself into the training without further deliberation. Strikes flew and were returned. Numbers climbed steadily across his vision. Diamond Fist moved from 15% upward, past 30, past 60. Void Step reached 100 and crossed into Subtle Mastery. Floating Light Palm broke through its ceiling shortly after. Su-hong kept going through the accumulating hits until finally, with one last committed exchange, Diamond Fist reached Grand Achievement. The digital space went quiet. He stood alone, breathing hard, and offered quiet thanks to the empty air. A notification confirmed the quest was complete. He selected the option to return. The arena came back all at once. Noise, light, the smell of sweat. And a masked opponent was already mid-lunge directly in front of him. The man called Su-hong a show-off and threw a heavy strike. Su-hong slipped past it with an ease that surprised even himself, remarked flatly on his opponent's lack of speed, and buried a clean punch into the man's face, splitting the mask apart. The crowd went quiet. The fighter dropped and stayed down. Su-hong turned to the announcer and asked for his prize money for 4 consecutive wins. Her voice carried across the hall, confirming the victory and awarding him 60,000 yuan. In the private viewing room above, a man in a suit watched with narrowed eyes. An apprentice-level fighter demonstrating Diamond Fist at that degree of mastery wasn't something you saw every day. He told his subordinates quietly to follow the boy when he left and find out who he was. Su-hong had already thought of that. He slipped out through a side corridor, heard footsteps trying to keep pace behind him, scaled a wall without much effort, and disappeared into the night. An hour later, he walked through his front door and set a thick stack of cash on the table. His aunt stared at it and asked completely seriously whether he had robbed a bank. Su-hong told her a dojo master had recognized his potential and was offering sponsorship. His uncle studied him with quiet skepticism, but looking at Su-hong's steady expression, both of them chose to trust him. The mood in the room lifted noticeably. Later, Su-hong sat alone on the rooftop and went through the numbers. Rent was handled. His aunt's medical bills were covered. He exhaled and acknowledged to himself that the system had pulled him through a genuinely difficult night. He opened his status screen and noticed 67 martial Dao points earned from defeating a superior opponent. The system indicated these could be applied directly to his blood energy. He put them all in at once. The result was immediate. A wave of warmth moved through his body, his muscles settled into something noticeably stronger, and the soreness from the fights faded and disappeared. His blood energy climbed to 90, putting him right at the threshold of a quasi-warrior. He felt restless sitting still. He decided to test it. He made his way to Star City No. 1 High School under the cover of night and found the outdoor martial arena empty. He located the Tier 1 combat power tester near the far end, studied it briefly, then settled into his stance. He chose to hold back to 70% for the first strike, just to be measured about it. His fist connected with a sharp crack. Sparks flew and the machine buckled noticeably. Su-hong looked at the damage and his expression shifted toward mild concern. He hoped it wasn't too costly. That thought was cut short by a furious shout from the darkness. An old man in pajamas came storming out, staring at the wrecked machine. Su-hong was already moving, slipping away before the man could get a clear look at him. Behind him, the old man's voice rang across the empty grounds, cursing the names of 2 students, Chen Gan and Li Tu, and promising them both a serious talking to in the morning. The following morning, No. 1 High School Gymnasium buzzed with restless teenage energy and high-level gossip. Among the crowd, Su-hong leaned toward his friend and asked why Chen Shan looked as though he had been thrown into a blender. His friend explained that rumors were spreading that Chen Shan had destroyed a combat power tester at the drill ground in the middle of the night. Just then, a voice echoed across the gymnasium. An elderly man with a sharp mustache, he introduced his old war companion, Chen Tian. Chen Tian was a Tier 3 martial artist and he was not present for small talk. He announced that he would be teaching the C-rank martial technique known as Thunder Rush Fist. Su Hong observed quietly. With narrowed eyes, he recognized the technique immediately. It resembled the martial art used by White Fox in the underground arena. He analyzed its structure, noting how a single punch seemed capable of producing triple-layered impact. The efficiency alone was terrifying. Chen Tian silenced the remaining chatter and began his demonstration, stating that he would repeat it 10 times. The air cracked sharply as he moved. Even at the basic level, a properly executed Thunder Rush Fist produced a sound like an actual thunderclap. Once the demonstration concluded, Chen Tian explained that martial arts mastery could be measured through sound. 3 thunderclaps indicated proficiency. 5 signified micro-level mastery. 7 represented full mastery, his own current peak. And if someone were to reach the legendary perfect realm, 9 thunderclaps would erupt from a single strike. He advised the students not to aim too high. Reaching the basic level in one day, he said, would already be commendable. Hours passed. By the afternoon, the gymnasium resembled a battlefield of exhaustion. Students groaned as they struggled to replicate even the simplest form of the technique. They complained about the sheer difficulty of C-rank martial arts, wondering aloud whether some hidden trick existed, because their bodies felt completely drained. When someone attempted to locate Su Hong among the crowd, they found only empty space where he had once stood. Suddenly, a boom echoed through the gym. All eyes turned toward Chen Shan. The so-called golden boy of the school had successfully reached the basic level. Chen Tian remained unimpressed. He told Principal Li, known informally among students as Old Li, that in larger cities such talent would barely qualify as average. He remarked bluntly that this year's batch seemed disappointing, making his visit feel almost wasted. Both men quietly acknowledged that the martial path was ruthless. Talent and opportunity often outweighed sheer hard work. Then everything changed. A surge of blue light flared across the gym as a student executed a 7-sound strike. The thunderclaps rang out clearly. Chen Tian froze. Reaching 7 sounds in a single afternoon meant matching his own mastery level. He questioned whether he had misheard, but before he could process it, 9 distinct thunderclaps exploded across the hall. The sound was overwhelming, perfect, resonant, undeniable. Chen Tian felt the impact in his bone. Witnessing such flawless execution shattered something within him. Inspiration struck like lightning. His own fist ignited with electric energy as he unleashed an 8-sound strike, breaking through a plateau that had confined him for years. In that moment, he realized that without witnessing that student's perfect form, he might have remained stagnant forever. He immediately instructed the principal to find that boy. But the search proved futile. The mysterious student had already disappeared. Elsewhere, Su Hong walked calmly through the city streets. His muscles felt heavy. Practicing a C-rank technique had drained him far more than his previous D-rank Vajra Fist ever had. He summoned his blue interface, Thunder Rush Fist Perfect Realm. The result confirmed what he already sensed. To officially step into the martial artist rank, he would need more martial Dao points. He wondered whether normal sparring could yield the same gains as life and death combat. Eventually, he stopped before the sign of Raging Thunder Dojo. It was time to test that theory. Inside the dojo, a familiar face greeted him and asked what brought him there. Su Hong replied casually that he had come for light practice. The peaceful mood shattered almost immediately. A heavy thud echoed through the hall as a purple-haired young man named Li Yan slammed another student into the floor. One of Su Hong's acquaintances quietly explained that Li Yan was the prized disciple of a recently arrived instructor. That instructor was powerful but arrogant. He treated ordinary students dismissively and taught without enthusiasm. Li Yan sneered down at his fallen opponent, asking how someone so weak could ever dream of challenging him. The atmosphere thickened with tension. Su Hong stepped forward without hesitation. His hand clamped onto Li Yan's arm like iron. Calmly, he told him that it was enough for today. Li Yan responded with hostility, demanding that they settle the matter properly in the arena. Before the situation escalated, the lead instructor entered and barked at everyone to be silent, announcing that class was beginning. Li Yan released his grip, remarking that Su Hong was fortunate the bell had saved him. Su Hong merely watched him walk away, unimpressed. The instructor lifted a spear and announced that he would demonstrate the final lesson of the Raging Sea Spear technique, and he would show it only once. He mocked the class lightly, expressing doubt that anyone could learn such an art from a single viewing. He described the spear's motion as a flood dragon treading through the sea, its momentum resembling endless crashing waves. When the demonstration ended, he dismissed the class. Students at the back complained that they had not seen clearly enough. Su Hong remained motionless. His eyes tracked the invisible path of the spear. The imagery of the flood dragon etched itself into his mind. He grasped a training spear, feeling the smooth wood steady beneath his palms. Then he moved. His spear lunged forward, replicating the instructor's form with startling precision. A collective gasp filled the dojo. The weapon whistled through the air, the technique manifesting almost flawlessly after a single observation. Students stared in disbelief, questioning their own competence. Li Yan watched with narrowed eyes and a predatory smile. He recognized genuine comprehension when he saw it. Stepping forward, he offered to give pointers and test Su Hong's understanding. Su Hong accepted. The surrounding students retreated, forming a wide circle. A friend warned Su Hong quietly that despite Li Yan's character, his strength was formidable. Su Hong assured him there was no need to worry and formally requested guidance. The duel began. Li Yan roared, accusing Su Hong of arrogance as he unleashed the micro-level Raging Sea Spear technique. The air exploded with force, but Su Hong answered with a countersurge. His spear flowed with controlled grace, blue energy spiraling around him like a rising tide. His movements demonstrated clear proficiency, clean, efficient, undeniable. Li Yan staggered back slightly, shock flickering across his expression. He had just witnessed something impossible. Su Hong had reached the proficient level of the Raging Sea Spear technique after seeing it only once. A sharp metallic clang echoed through the hall as his spear struck cleanly against Li Yan's weapon and forced it aside. The impact sent a visible tremor through Li Yan's stance. When the duel concluded, the result was undeniable. A system notification appeared before Su Hong's eyes, informing him that he had earned 35 martial Dao points for defeating an opponent of higher standing. He quickly calculated that if ordinary sparring yielded such rewards, then frequent combat might be the fastest path toward growth. Meanwhile, Li Yan collapsed to the floor, visibly shaken. Years of confidence seemed to crumble in an instant. He questioned the value of his relentless training, wondering whether his efforts had been meaningless. Before his despair could spiral further, his instructor intervened. The man stepped forward and silenced the outburst with a firm slap, not out of cruelty, but as a harsh lesson. He stated bluntly that a true martial artist must accept defeat with dignity. After all, Su Hong had reached a proficient level from a single observation. Even prodigies from the imperial capital, he remarked, might struggle to match that feat. Privately, the instructor acknowledged that Li Yan's arrogance had needed correction and Su Hong had provided it perfectly. Su Hong, however, was already reviewing his status screen. His blood energy now stood at 177, and Thunder Rush Fist remained in the perfect realm. With the upcoming school exam at Star City No. 1 High School approaching, he recognized that his current equipment would not suffice. To compete with wealthier students, he would require a high-grade alloy spear. Unfortunately, reality intruded. His aunt's medical expenses totaled $698,000. His savings were nearly depleted. If he wanted to advance, he would need a new source of income. Soon after, a televised report mentioned increased rewards for hunting fierce beasts outside Star City. The opportunity sounded dangerous but lucrative. When Su Hong returned home, he found his uncle and aunt still pushing themselves to exhaustion just to maintain daily expenses. He attempted to reassure them, stating that he was capable of supporting the household now and that they should prioritize their health. His uncle, stubborn as ever, refused to remain idle. Even with bandages wrapped around his body, the man insisted on contributing what little he could, giving Su Hong a determined thumbs up. The moment was warm, yet the financial strain lingered heavily in Su Hong's mind. He realized that small earnings would never be enough. What his family needed was long-term security, enough stability to allow them to retire without fear. To prepare for the wilderness, he allocated every remaining martial Dao point into blood energy. The number rose steadily, reaching 95. He stood just one step away from officially crossing into warrior status. Over the next 2 days, he trained relentlessly in the school gymnasium. He had refined every technique in his arsenal. The Raging Sea Spear technique reached perfect completion. God Step achieved flawless execution. Every skill was polished to its peak. When Saturday arrived, Su Hong made his way to the Star City warrior base for the first time in his life. The place was far busier than he had imagined. Warriors moved in and out as if the profession were common, though he knew it was anything but. He examined the posted reward list and learned that a Tier 1 upper stage beast could fetch 5,000 blue star coins. Payment required proof, specifically the left ear of the beast. Though the method seemed crude, the compensation was clear. Before he could fully take in the surroundings, commotion erupted near the entrance. A group of attendants cleared a path for a young man making an overly dramatic entrance. The crowd whispered that he was young Master Yi. Su Hong studied him carefully. The man bore a striking resemblance to White Fox from the underground arena. Nearby warriors muttered that young Master Yi's influence stemmed from his uncle, who managed the base. They also mentioned that the young master had recently suffered a humiliating defeat, explaining his low profile over the past few days. Su Hong understood immediately that danger would not come solely from beasts. In places where power and money gathered, human threats could be just as lethal. An older veteran noticed Su Hong lingering near the gates and asked whether it was his first time entering the wilderness alone at such a young age. Su Hong confirmed it calmly. The veteran sighed heavily, clearly assuming he was another reckless youth seeking glory. 2 hours into the forest, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The outer perimeter felt deserted, as though it had been thoroughly hunted. Su Hong speculated that most low-tier beasts near the outskirts had already been cleared out. Determined not to return empty-handed, he ventured deeper into the woods. The air grew colder, the silence thickened, then trouble appeared. From the shadows emerged a shadow moon wolf, a Tier 1 lower stage beast. Su Hong had seen illustrations of the creature before, but encountering one in the wild was entirely different. Its frame was larger than expected, its fur dark and sleek, and its eyes carried a predatory gleam. The wolf released a chilling howl that vibrated through the clearing. Without hesitation, it lunged. Its jaws opened wide, teeth gleaming as it aimed straight for Su Hong's throat. A final, desperate howl echoed through the trees before fading into silence. The Shadow Moon Wolf collapsed at Su Hong's feet. For a brief moment, the forest stood still. Su Hong looked down at the fallen beast and admitted to himself that the thrill of real combat far exceeded anything he had imagined. Fighting monsters in theory was one thing, standing over one you had personally slain was something else entirely. A thunderous roar shook the surrounding trees. A raging black bear burst from the underbrush, its massive frame barreling forward with violent intent. Heavy collision followed force against force, and moments later the beast crashed lifelessly into the earth. After collecting the required proof, he calculated his earnings. 3,000 in prize money had been secured. At that moment, his glowing blue interface appeared. It informed him that his accumulated martial value had reached the threshold required for breakthrough. Before he could act on that realization, however, an oppressive aura spread across the forest. The air thickened, leaves trembled without wind. Su Hong narrowed his eyes, wondering what kind of ferocious beast could emit such overwhelming pressure. Curiosity outweighed caution. He advanced toward the source, scaling a high rock formation and peering into the valley below. There, coiled like a nightmare-made flesh, was a Tier 1 late-stage ferocious beast. The black jade giant python. Agonized screams rose from the valley floor. A group of travelers had been ambushed. The python's tail whipped through the air with explosive force. A sharp crack echoed as one man was struck and sent flying, crashing heavily against the ground. The serpent's scaled body blurred with terrifying speed. From his vantage point, Su Hong observed its movement carefully. The creature possessed both mass and agility, a lethal combination that left its victims with no chance to flee. Blood stained the earth. Su Hong exhaled slowly. His lips tightened and he descended from the rock. Approaching one of the fallen men, he stated briefly that he would borrow the spear. He understood the risk. Normally, defeating a Tier 1 late-stage beast required multiple martial artists working together. It was not a task for one individual, but Su Hong was not ordinary. His martial techniques had reached the perfect realm. That mastery was what had allowed him to defeat the raging black bear with ease. After assessing the python's movements, he concluded that he possessed the strength to fight it. He moved, void step activated with flawless precision. His body blurred forward, closing the distance instantly. Without pause, he executed the raging sea spear technique, perfect in form, perfect in timing. Water-like energy surged along the spear's shaft as it struck the serpent's scales. A resounding bang erupted through the valley. The black jade giant python hissed sharply, its enormous head recoiling from the impact. Blue light shimmered across its dark scales as Su Hong prepared another strike. He declared internally that one more blow would follow. The python lunged, jaws wide, fangs glinting in the dim forest light. Su Hong moved like lightning. His spear carved arcs of energy through the air, each strike deliberate and controlled. Yet even as he attacked, he recognized a fundamental problem, the sheer size difference between them. A single fatal strike would be difficult. He adjusted his strategy immediately. Instead of aiming for a decisive finish, he focused on attrition. Thunder Rush Fist erupted from his free hand, each blow executed at perfect level. Rumbling sounds followed every impact as layered force traveled through the serpent's body. After each successful strike, Su Hong widened the distance instantly. Engage, strike, disengage, the pattern repeated. Though the method drained stamina, it preserved safety. Gradually, the python's movements slowed. Its body trembled, heavy breaths rattling through its massive frame. Su Hong noted that it was approaching its limit. Just as he prepared to press the advantage, he sensed something else. A presence. He demanded to know who was there. A loud laugh answered him. From the shadows, a masked figure clad in heavy armor leapt forward. Flames ignited around his fist as he descended. The punch landed squarely against Su Hong. The impact blasted him backward, slamming him into the dirt. He coughed violently as dust filled his lungs, forcing himself upright despite the pain radiating through his ribs. He demanded to know who they were. As his vision cleared, he saw them, an entire group of armed strangers emerging from concealment. Their coordinated movements and disciplined posture suggested experience. At their center stood a man in a long trench coat. He stepped forward calmly and remarked that they were meeting again. Recognition flickered in Su Hong's mind. The man then suggested almost casually that Su Hong should hand over the black jade giant python. Su Hong assessed them carefully and realized all five were trained martial artists. Before he could reposition, a hulking brute wearing a mask charged forward. The brute declared that the python now belonged to his master and commanded Su Hong to leave immediately. Su Hong's eyes hardened. Energy surged into his fist, glowing with violent intensity. He retorted that their earlier success had relied on a sneak attack. He questioned whether they truly believed they could defeat him in a fair fight. The answer came in the form of impact. A thunderous crack split the air as Su Hong's fist collided with the masked giant's chest. The force was overwhelming. The brute staggered backward, unable to withstand the explosive power behind the strike. Amid the shockwave, young Master Yi's expression changed. He recognized the technique instantly, the excellent Vajra fist. In that moment, he identified Su Hong as the masked fighter from the underground arena, the Minotaur. The name White Fox surfaced in the chaos, and recognition flickered in Su Hong's eyes as well. His pride, wounded in front of his own men, demanded blood. He spat out an order to kill Su Hong. Su Hong did not wait to be surrounded. He turned and bolted toward the tree line. The remaining hunters pursued immediately, weapons drawn. Behind them, young Master Yi shouted a warning. He cautioned his men that the dense forest ahead provided perfect conditions for an ambush. One pursuer armed with a heavy blade and concealed behind a mask scoffed at the warning. He questioned why 5 trained fighters should fear a single opponent. His confidence lasted only seconds. A streak of blue light cut through the foliage. Before he could react, Su Hong emerged from the shadows. His eyes glowed with cold intensity as he struck. The man fell almost instantly, blood spraying across the forest floor. Young Master Yi froze. Another subordinate shouted in alarm, identifying the technique as the 9-echo thunderclap fist, executed at absolute perfection. Even rank 3 martial artists struggled to achieve that level of resonance. The realization shattered Yi's composure. Hidden among the trees, Su Hong steadied his breathing. He was aware that the earlier battle with the python had drained a significant portion of his vitality. Still, he resolved to dismantle the group one by one. He moved through the canopy like a phantom. A golden flash descended from above as he dropped from the branches, driving his spear into the ground near the remaining hunters. Panic spread through their ranks. Another man fell, unable to track the lethal rhythm of Su Hong's movements. Understanding that prolonged confrontation would exhaust him, Su Hong adapted. He turned the forest itself into a weapon. He exploited shadows, elevation, and terrain, transforming the dense woods into a calculated battlefield. Desperation overtook the last subordinate. He urged young Master Yi to retreat, terrified by the overwhelming strength of their opponent. But Yi refused. His pride would not allow it. He snarled that retreat was not an option. His obsession had shifted into something darker. He declared that Su Hong must die here regardless of the cost. From within the brush, Su Hong observed the man's unraveling composure. The hunter had become the hunted. Sweat formed on Yi's brow as he confronted an undeniable truth. Su Hong had grown exponentially stronger within mere days. Su Hong stepped into the clearing. His presence felt suffocating. He stated calmly that it was finally Yi's turn to face the consequences of his actions. Driven by fury and desperation, Yi ignited his hand with a cold blue flame. He warned Su Hong not to assume victory prematurely. Gathering every ounce of strength he possessed, he unleashed a final technique, Void Shatter. The air warped. He extended his finger, releasing the void-shattering finger. Beams of destructive energy tore through the forest, slicing through trees and stone with terrifying ease. Su Hong dodged swiftly, recognizing the technique's high caliber. He estimated it to be at least Class B in rank. The destructive force leveled the surrounding grove, leaving splintered wood and drifting dust in its wake. Yi's hatred intensified. He shouted that he had memorized Su Hong's face and promised vengeance that would outlive this encounter. Declared that if Su Hong dared to harm him, he would return and slaughter Su Hong's entire family. Everything changed. A shadow crossed Su Hong's expression. His voice lowered dangerously as he repeated the threat, confirming what he had just heard. He continued boasting, claiming his uncle was a high-ranking supervisor at the martial artist base and that his father wielded even greater influence. He believed his lineage made him untouchable. In truth, he had just eliminated any reason for mercy. Su Hong remarked coldly that he had preferred Yi when he was merely arrogant. Then he moved. The motion was too fast for the eye to follow. A devastating strike connected with Yi's jaw. The nobleman was launched through the air like a discarded doll. He crashed violently into the earth, debris exploding around him. Su Hong stood over him. He stated that Yi should never have used his family as a threat. Blood pooled at the corner of Yi's mouth. Trembling, he stared upward in disbelief. He wheezed, questioning how such power was possible when Su Hong was not even a registered martial artist. He demanded to know what Su Hong truly was. Before Su Hong could answer, the ground vibrated. A deep, guttural roar rolled across the clearing. Deep in the shadowed woods, tension rises among a group of hunters. One man curses the strange nature of the boy they pursue, while another questions if young Master Yi already finished the target. Suddenly, a masked warrior spots Su Hong emerging from the brush. He snarls that the brat has finally shown himself and vows not to spare him. Before they can strike, Su Hong commands them to move. A massive, multi-headed beast erupts from the foliage, its jaws wide, forcing a cry of alarm from the startled men. Chaos erupts as the beast strikes, sending a martial artist flying to his death. A notification flickers in Su Hong's mind, confirming he gained 30 martial value from the indirect kill. He notes the strange efficiency of this gain while the screams of his pursuers fill the air. Realizing his accumulated battles have finally provided enough martial value to break through, he leaps through the canopy. He searches for a sanctuary, knowing he must find a safe place to ascend to the rank of a true martial artist. Spotting a dark opening in the rock, Su Hong decides on a cave for his refuge. He dives inside just as the massive serpent lunges, its roar shaking the stone walls. Within the dim interior, a glowing interface appears, displaying his name as Su Hong. His vitality stands at 96, his spirit at 23, and his martial value at 504. Urgency drives him to push the system faster, desperate to complete the transition before the beast breaches his temporary shelter. Heat surges through Su Hong as his vitality climbs. He describes the sensation of magma flowing through his veins instead of blood, his body burning with the intensity of the change. A chime signals his vitality reaching 100, marking his breakthrough to Tier 1 martial artist. As the serpent lunges again, Su Hong stands tall, declaring it is now his turn to strike. His fist ignites with golden radiance, the power of his new rank ready to be unleashed against the predator. The serpent roars in defiance, but Su-hong meets its fury with the Vajra fist. He leaps forward, his glowing hand striking the creature with the force of a falling star. Red energy crackles around the point of impact as he drives his power into the beast's skull. Gritting his teeth, he clicks his tongue in annoyance and commands the creature to get back. His grip tightens on the massive form, the strength of a Tier 1 warrior anchoring him against the thrashing monster. Diving from the sky, Su-hong unleashes a devastating blow. He screams for the beast to go down as lightning-infused energy crackles around his limb. The giant python recoils, its massive scales glinting under the assault. Chanting the name of his technique, the Thunder Rush Fist, he connects with a bone-crushing impact. A thunderous boom follows the strike, drowning out the creature's final, agonized roar as the forest floor trembles under the sheer force of the martial execution. Standing atop the carcass of the giant python, Su-hong observes a notification indicating his martial value has increased by 92. He acknowledges that while the serpent was already heavily injured, his ability to confront its attacks head-on marks a significant shift in his strength. Looking at the beast, he recalls that hunting such ferocious creatures usually requires a left ear as proof for a reward. The realization that snakes lack ears leaves him momentarily stumped, so he decides to abandon the task and hurry back. Before leaving, he discovers the body of a fallen martial artist in a tan coat. He remarks that the man got off easy ending up like this, then begins searching the corpse, hoping to find the high-level technique the stranger once wielded. Gripping a dark manual titled Void-Breaking Finger, Su-hong studies the text with intense focus. Night falls over the canyon where the python's body rests, and he settles beside a crackling campfire to begin his meditation. A luminous blue projection of himself emerges from his form, glowing with spectral light. He commands the process to begin, his eyes burning with determination as the spiritual energy begins to swirl around his seated figure. Training commences with frantic intensity as Su-hong repeatedly thrusts his hand forward, shouting the name of the void-breaking finger. Blue status windows flicker in the air, tracking his progress from 51% up to 93% until he finally reaches the basic. The strain of the B-rank martial skill forces a series of ragged coughs from his lungs. Determined to see its true potential, he decides to seek out a monster for a live test. Days later, a massive red-eyed bear lets out a deafening howl as it charges through the brush. Su-hong meets the beast head-on, his finger glowing with a piercing blue light as it carves through the air. A final notification confirms the transition from mastered to perfect, and he marvels at the power worthy of a B-rank skill before deciding it is time to return. He arrives at the martial artist base, a sprawling fortress teeming with activity. Inside the bustling hall, members of the Thunder Squad boast about their massive haul of 230,000 coins. Su-hong approaches the counter and heaves a heavy sack of trophies before the clerk. The final tally is staggering: 72 initial stage, 83 middle stage, and 17 high stage Tier 1 beasts, totaling 406,000 blue star coins. As the crowd gapes, he breaks into a cold sweat, realizing his massive hunt might be far too conspicuous. A sudden explosion rocks the martial artist base, sending a plume of smoke rising from the central plaza. Amidst the chaos, a man in a sharp gray suit named Ichi, the base person in charge, steps forward with a face twisted in rage. He commands a total blockade, swearing that not a single soul will escape the perimeter. His subordinates shout their compliance as the reason for his fury becomes clear. Ichi roars that his nephew Yifeng has been killed along with 4 other martial artists. The news ripples through the onlookers, who whisper in disbelief that someone managed to wipe out Yifeng's entire group of 5. Several men admit they would have killed the thief long ago if not for his family identity. Unmoved by the gossip, Ichi announces that a B-rank martial skill is missing from his nephew's body and orders a mandatory body search for everyone present. Su-hong stands in the crowd, leaning on his spear and keeping his expression neutral. He reasons that since the corpses were mangled to look like python kills, the trail shouldn't lead back to him. However, as the crowd begins to scatter under the watchful eyes of the guards, he notices the supervisor's attention shifting. The shadow of the supervisor looms large as Ichi approaches Su-hong with a predatory intensity. He addresses him as little brother, noting the rumors of a lone hunter bringing in over 400,000 coins worth of beasts. The air grows heavy with unspoken threats as Ichi praises Su-hong's amazing skill. A woman accused him of stumbling upon the aftermath of young Master Yi's hunting party, looting the battlefield and then shamelessly claiming the reward as his own. Without hesitation, she ordered an immediate search. 2 guards stepped forward, steel flashed in response. Su-hong drew his spear in one smooth, fluid motion so fast that the guards momentarily lost track of it. The atmosphere tightened instantly. Calm and composed, he stated that he was a student of Star City No. 1 High School. Was this truly a conflict they wished to escalate? The suited supervisor hesitated. The principal of Star City No. 1 High was known for fiercely protecting her students. If Su-hong had genuinely hunted those beasts himself, he was not someone to offend lightly. Yet Yifeng was dead and a family technique, the void-breaking finger, was missing. When the supervisor offered 10,000 credits to proceed with the search, Su-hong calmly countered with 30,000 or no search at all. Internally, he remained steady. Yifeng had died to the black jade giant python. The scene had been arranged carefully. The void-breaking finger manual was hidden. There was no concrete evidence linking him to anything. After a tense pause, the deal was struck. The guards searched him thoroughly, every pouch, every container. They found nothing. Frustration crossed the supervisor's face, but an agreement was an agreement. 30,000 credits were transferred, and Su Hong walked out of the martial artist base without looking back. In his room, the familiar blue interface appeared. Su Hong. Vitality 103. Martial points 534. His martial techniques, Thunder Rush Fist, Raging Sea Spear, Vajra Fist, Void-Breaking Finger, had all reached perfect realm. For someone his age, he was already far ahead of the curve. But growth required direction. The upcoming Martial Artist Association assessment was crucial, and eventually he would need a proper guidance technique to continue advancing. He began allocating his remaining martial points. He continued adjusting until his stats settled at. His body visibly expanded with dense muscle and compressed power before he deliberately suppressed his physique back to its usual unremarkable appearance. Drawing attention now would be unwise. The next morning, he arrived at the Star City Martial Artist Association for the Rank 1 assessment. The requirements were straightforward, at least 100 vitality and 1,000 combat power. Candidates moved through one by one. Pangea scored 992, just 8 points short. He stepped aside quietly, disappointment evident. Li Ming followed. With 105 vitality and training under Jiang Ming of the Raging Thunder Dojo, he delivered an impressive 1,763 combat power. The crowd reacted with approval. That output nearly touched rank 1 mid-stage territory. Then Su Hong stepped forward. The vitality reader displayed 123, murmurs spread. That alone exceeded expectations for someone his age. He approached the combat power tester, calculating quickly. Even at 40% strength he should pass. To be safe, he raised it to 50%. He struck. A heavy boom echoed through the chamber. The combat power tester slid backward across the floor before slamming into the wall. The display flickered. 3004 combat power. Silence filled the hall. 3000 marked the threshold of rank 1 high stage. Above the testing hall, an observing teacher leaned forward, quietly acknowledging that she had just witnessed something rare. Elsewhere in the city, President Wu Lingxian of the Star City Martial Artist Association was dealing with pressure from Yang City's rising talents. Their branch had not hesitated to boast, implying Star City was falling behind. Her position was under subtle strain. When her aide informed her that a rank 1 early-stage candidate had just produced 3,000 combat power using raw strength alone, a suited official escorted MC upstairs to finalize his identity and activate his monthly allowance. Before they reached the stairs, they were stopped by President Wu Lingxian, the Tier 5 head of the Star City branch. She dismissed the official and personally brought Su Hong to her office. She mentioned that she had recently spoken with Li Chengshan, the principal of Star City No. 1 High, who had complained about lacking talented students, something she found ironic given Su Hong's performance. Wu Lingxian told Su Hong she intended to accept him as her personal student. She then explained spiritual qi attributes: metal, wood, water, fire, earth, thunder, and wind. Each attribute added special properties to attacks. Thunder had the highest offensive power, followed by metal and fire. She tested Su Hong's compatibility using a crystal sphere. Fire 100%, thunder 100%, wind 100%, all 7 attributes 100%. A perfect score meant 0 energy loss during absorption. Wu Lingxian admitted she had never seen such results before. Su Hong requested copies of all 7 guidance techniques. She advised against it, explaining that splitting focus often caused cultivators to stall at Tier 1. Depth was more important than range. Su Hong understood but still asked to try all 7 before choosing. She agreed, though cautiously. She then spoke about the worsening situation at the All Heavens battlefield. War between humanity and the 10,000 races seemed likely. She offered to recommend Su Hong for the Genius Training Camp on the condition that he place first in his school's monthly exam. Su Hong agreed. His family had died in a conflict 10 years ago, which made the topic personal, though he did not mention it. That evening he returned home and showed his association ID to his uncle and aunt. It came with a monthly allowance of 10,000 units. Both were visibly relieved, easing their financial burden. Later that night, Su Hong practiced the Heavenly Flame guidance technique in his room. Midway through cultivation, his blue system interface appeared and automatically added the technique to his status panel, showing it at level 1 with a progress tracker. Wu Lingxian had never mentioned such tracking. Su Hong sat in front of the glowing blue interface, studying the display with his usual methodical focus. He was trying to work out whether martial value was the currency needed to upgrade his guidance techniques, the same way it governed his other attributes. The system answered quickly. A red warning flashed across the screen indicating insufficient martial value. He noted the result, set the upgrade aside for now, and decided to spend the time examining the techniques themselves instead. He would find a way to earn more value later. The night passed quietly. By the time the moon was up, he had worked through the thunder, water, marsh, thick earth, and spirit wind guidance techniques, all sitting at level 1 on his internal map. That was when the problem made itself clear. The 7 attributes of spiritual qi did not coexist easily. Inside his meridians, they pushed against each other, repelling, conflicting, refusing to settle. Wu Lingxian's warning came back to him without prompting, the martial artist who had stayed at Tier 1 for decades because he tried to hold multiple attributes at once. Su Hong could feel exactly what she had meant. He could access any one of the 7 without difficulty, but the moment he tried to bring a second into play, the energy turned unstable. The 2 attributes clashed and burned each other out, dissipating before either could be used. He spent the next several hours trying anyway. He focused specifically on thunder and fire, noting that the 2 were closer in nature than most other pairings. He was tired, but he was also close, he could feel it. He made one more attempt, pushing his focus into a single concentrated effort to hold the 2 attributes together rather than forcing them to merge. Something shifted. The resistance gave way, and a column of combined flame and lightning erupted from his palms, held steady in his hands for the first time. He looked at it for a moment, then let it go. Su Hong stepped out into the cool morning air and made his way to the Star City Citizen Martial Arts Square. He wanted to measure what the fusion had actually produced, and the square had a Tier 3 combat power tester built to handle serious output. He had previously recorded 3,000 combat power at 50% of his strength. He decided to start at 30% this time to get a baseline reading for the fused energy. The strike landed and the sensors registered. The number that came back was 2,343. He stood there for a moment doing the math. 30% of his previous output should have put him somewhere around 1,800. The fusion had added roughly 500 points on top of what his physical strength alone could produce. He tested again, this time bringing in more of his capacity. The tester settled on 3,041. Su Hong considered that number. His vitality was at 123, well within the Tier 1 early stage range, and yet his combined output already cleared the benchmark for a Tier 1 high stage martial artist. The fusion was doing more than he had expected. He found himself thinking about what 3 attributes combined would look like, then 4, then all 7. He acknowledged the thought and filed it away. The difficulty would increase significantly with each addition, and he had a more immediate priority. The school's monthly exam was tomorrow. The next morning, the track at Star City No. 1 High School was filled with students. An official stood at the front and addressed the crowd, explaining that this particular exam carried more weight than usual. Tensions at the front lines had been escalating, and the top 3 performers would earn a spot at a specialized training camp staffed by Tier 7 Grandmasters, a level of instruction well beyond what the school's Tier 3 principal could offer. The announcement moved through the crowd quickly, and the energy among the students picked up noticeably. Su Hong stood near the back and listened. He had been absent for 10 days, and the school had moved on without him in the usual ways. Around him, students were talking about Chen Shan and Li Tu, 2 classmates who had recently broken through to Tier 1. The 2 had apparently been making that known to everyone around them, discussing their Thunder Rush Fist technique and its 3 echo capacity with the confidence of people who expected to be taken seriously. The mood shifted when a group arrived that had not been on the schedule. Jiang Ming, a martial arts instructor from outside the school, walked in with several of his disciples. The principal recognized him and tensed visibly. Jiang Ming looked over the assembled students with thinly veiled contempt and suggested, loud enough for everyone to hear, that his disciples could spar with the school's top performers. The implication was clear. It was less a friendly offer than a public challenge designed to highlight what he saw as the school's mediocrity. The principal said nothing, caught between not wanting to accept and not wanting to look like he was backing down. Then one of Jiang Ming's disciples went still. He had spotted Su Hong standing in the crowd and immediately turned to his teacher, voice dropped low, identifying him as the candidate from the association, the one who had put 3,000 combat power through a testing machine with a bare fist. Jiang Ming's expression shifted. He looked over at Su Hong, did a quick internal calculation, and changed direction entirely. He laughed off his earlier comment, called it a joke, referred to his own students as unready, and withdrew the challenge before anyone could formally accept it. The exam matches began shortly after. The announcer called the next pairing, number 665 Chen Peng against number 666 Su Hong. From somewhere in the stands, a voice told him to be careful. Chen Peng was a quasi-martial artist and not someone to take lightly. Chen Peng took his stance at the center of the ring and told Su Hong directly that he had 2 options: surrender now or end up on the ground. Su Hong closed the distance before Chen Peng finished the sentence. The strike connected cleanly, and the impact kicked up enough dust to obscure the ring for a moment. When it cleared, Chen Peng was flat on the ground and not moving. The arena was quiet for a beat. Then the crowd started talking at once, trying to process what they had just seen: a single strike, no technique, no wind-up, just a clean finish against a quasi-martial artist. Su Hong stood in the center of the ring and waited for the next call. Up on the balcony, 2 masters watched the crowd below. He also could not shake the feeling that the boy was somehow familiar, that they had crossed paths before, but the memory would not surface clearly enough to place. Below them, the semifinal between Chen Shan and Li Tu was approaching its end. Both fighters were using the 3 blades Thunder Rush Fist, moving fast enough that individual strikes were difficult to track. One of them would face Su Hong in the final. Chen Shan settled that question himself. He announced, loud enough for the whole arena to hear, that he was the school's true #1, and then backed it up with attribute externalization. Flames erupted from his strikes, fire being one of the stronger offensive attributes at this level. Li Tu watched without much reaction and replied that attribute externalization was nothing special. He answered with the metal attribute, which carried more raw offensive power than fire, and switched to the 5 Echoes Thunder Rush Fist. 5 distinct sonic booms rolled through the arena as Li Tu's metal-enhanced strikes landed in sequence. Chen Shan was pushed back steadily and could not reverse it. The match ended shortly after. The masters took note. Li Tu had developed attribute externalization in 10 days, which was fast. One of them remarked that without a guidance technique of his own, Su Hong would have a difficult time keeping up. The other said nothing and quietly placed a bet of 50,000 on Su Hong taking first place. The final was announced, #1 Li Tu versus #555 Su Hong. Li Tu did not hide his opinion of the matchup. He pointed out that Su Hong had reached the final without facing the strongest competitors in the bracket, suggesting luck had more to do with it than skill. Su Hong listened and did not respond. His thoughts were straightforward. After weeks of hunting ferocious beasts in the wilderness, the fighters he had faced today felt noticeably less threatening. He was not being dismissive, it was simply where his frame of reference now sat. Li Tu stopped talking and moved. He opened immediately with the 5 Echoes Thunder Rush Fist, holding nothing back. In the stands, people called for the referee, certain Su Hong was about to absorb the full force of it with no answer. Su Hong did not dodge. He raised his fists and held his ground. He had a clear reason for it. He wanted to measure the current ceiling of his physical body, how much he could take and counter through conditioning alone without relying on any technique. Li Tu's 5-strike sequence gave him exactly that test. Su Hong met each strike with a steady, precise counter and neutralized the entire combination through physical strength. Li Tu stepped back and stared, trying to work out what had just happened to his most reliable move. The arena went quiet. On the balcony, the masters exchanged a look. The conclusion was clear: Su Hong had a special physique. Without a martial skill or any visible attribute, he had matched Li Tu's advanced technique on even terms. The dark-haired master let out a short laugh of genuine surprise. His school had managed to develop a real talent without fully realizing it. He noted one thing though: without showing an attribute, Su Hong still did not have a clear advantage. Matching Li Tu was not the same as beating him. Li Tu had reached the same conclusion and was not comfortable with it. He gathered himself and committed fully, pouring everything into the metal attribute and launching a final charge. He told Su Hong plainly to accept the result. Su Hong exhaled. He had wanted to keep testing his limits, but holding back against someone giving their full effort felt like poor form. He made a decision and let his own attribute come forth. Electricity moved across the platform in thin, steady arcs as the thunder guidance technique appeared. On the balcony, both masters straightened. Thunder was the strongest offensive attribute at this level. Su Hong had been sitting on it the whole fight. Li Tu looked at what was now in front of him and stopped. His metal attribute, which had worked well against most opponents, was outclassed. He had no answer for this. Su Hong told him he had one more thing to show. He stepped forward with the Thunder Rush Fist at its 9th echo, the perfect realm. The strike landed and the sonic booms followed, 9 of them in clean succession. Li Tu went down and did not get up. The arena was still for a moment after the dust cleared. Su Hong stood on the platform as the winner of the school's monthly exam. The masters on the balcony took a moment to collect themselves. One raised the question that had been forming since Su Hong's first match, whether this was the same student who had gone largely unnoticed at the school until recently. The answer was obvious. They agreed that the school had something it had not seen in a long time. The dark-haired master said it plainly: Star City was too small a stage for Su Hong. Su Hong came home to the smell of a cooked meal and the familiar sounds of the household settling into the evening. His uncle called out from the kitchen asking how the exam had gone. Su Hong kept it simple: he had taken first place. His auntie's reaction came immediately. She understood what that meant. The training camp spot was secured. Su Hong confirmed it with a nod. The knock at the door came before they had finished eating. A woman's voice demanded to know if this was Su Hong's resident. He went to the door and found himself looking at Lin Nyan's parent. She got to the point quickly. Her son had ranked 4th in the exam. Only the top 3 qualified for the camp. She wanted Su Hong to give up his spot. The offer she put forward was 30,000, a straightforward purchase of the position for her son. When Su Hong did not immediately agree, her tone shifted. She explained that the training camp was not the comfortable opportunity it sounded like. It existed to produce fighters for the All Heavens battlefield, and the battlefield had a way of sorting people out permanently. Those with weaker cultivation bases, she said, tended to end up as practice for the stronger participants. Ah Lan, who had been listening from inside, asked if the camp was truly that dangerous. Her voice carried real concern. The uncle moved to steady her and then turned the question to Su Hong directly: could he guarantee his own safety? Su Hong said he could. The woman at the door scoffed. The uncle did not give her the chance to say anything further. He told her plainly that he trusted his family over a stranger's word and asked her to leave. The door closed. From the street below, the sound of her cursing about Su-hong's inevitable elimination drifted up before fading into the city noise. Su-hong sat with his uncle and auntie and found himself wondering whether he had been wrong to downplay how dangerous the camp actually was. His uncle, practical as always, brushed the doubt aside. He said Su-hong was educated and capable, and that was enough for him. Alan did not say much about rankings or competition. She asked only that he come back in one piece. Su-hong gave her a small smile, though he could see the worry neither of them was fully hiding. Later that night, long after the household had gone to sleep, Su-hong stood on a rooftop above the city. He pulled up his progress, 12 matches won, 285 martial value points accumulated. He reviewed his mortal body, sitting at 36.1%. Against the level of talent that would be present at the training camp, fighters with hidden techniques, built-up resources, and cultivation advantages he could not fully predict, his physical development was the most reliable foundation he could build on. He decided to push it as far as the night allowed. The energy moved through him in steady waves as his mortal body density climbed in increments, 36.2, 36.3, continuing upward through the night. The blue interface tracked each step. By the time the progress settled, his mortal body had reached 64.6%. He also noticed that his thunder and heavenly flame guidance techniques had both moved up to level 2 on their own. No external resource had been required, consistent cultivation had pushed them forward naturally. He kept going. As the first light of dawn began to show over the city, both techniques reached level 3. The power difference was noticeable, not just in the techniques themselves, but in a broader sense. His utility had increased by 3 points alongside the advancement, an outcome he had not specifically planned for. Morning brought a different kind of energy to the household. His auntie told him to put his safety first. If the camp became too much, there was always a home to come back to. His uncle said the opposite in the loudest possible way. He told Su-hong to bring back another first place, but the underlying anxiety behind the boast was not difficult to read. Su-hong said his farewells, picked up his gear, and headed out into the city streets. He had not gone far when a red convertible cut across his path and stopped hard. The woman behind the wheel had golden hair and dark sunglasses and the air of someone who did not wait for people. She told him to get in. The car moved fast through the city. Su-hong asked why the president had come to find him personally. Wu Lingxian kept her eyes on the road and answered by laying out what he was walking into. As head of the Martial Dao Association, she had access to the profiles of the other participants heading to the camp. Some of them were not simply strong, they were Tier 1 4-star martial artists sitting just below the threshold of Tier 2. Several of them carried B-rank martial skills. That combination of cultivation level and technique quality represented a genuine threat, and she wanted him to understand that going in. She told him not to let the disadvantage in resources and support wear him down, and that his potential would carry him past those gaps eventually. Su-hong thanked her and kept his eyes forward. A black SUV carried a group of students through the Tianlin mountain range toward the training camp. One passenger grew uneasy. The area was a known gathering zone for fierce beasts. Another told him to relax since grandmasters were stationed at the perimeter, so his life was not usually at risk. The range spanned multiple cities including Star City and Yang City, was dense with spiritual energy and housed creatures up to Beast King level, capable of fighting Tier 7 grandmasters. Even the outer Tier 1 beasts were stronger than average. Outside the window, a tiger-like predator with a red gem in its forehead tore apart its prey on the rocks. One student felt like something was watching the car. Another noted the camp participants would likely be just as dangerous as the wildlife. Su-hong leaned back and looked out at the mountains, more curious than concerned. At the fenced military outpost, students from multiple cities had already gathered. Su-hong stepped out carrying a long wrapped staff and waited. The assessment would not begin until everyone arrived, drawing complaints from those already there. When luxury sedans pulled up, the crowd went quiet. Zhaoyan stepped out first, a spiritual mind master, composed and well-regarded. Then Lin Xing of the Lin family, white-haired with a folding fan, who surveyed the outpost and called it inelegant. After him came Wang Tianchuo, the city lord's son, known as the Savage God King, with 95% fire attribute compatibility and a special physique. Su-hong watched them all without much reaction, curious whether they would live up to their reputations. A suited instructor with a goatee stepped forward and laid out the rules. The camp was 30 kilometers into the range. Each student needed to retrieve a token found inside a fierce beast and reach camp within 8 hours. If someone encountered a beast beyond their ability and had to be rescued, they were saved but eliminated. The crowd called this unfair. The instructor cut through the noise. The world did not operate on fairness, and learning to assess risk and avoid what you could not handle was the entire point. 10 years of training meant nothing if one encounter on the myriad heavens battlefield ended with someone stronger killing them before they could apply it. He added that avoiding risks and picking fights carefully was simply the law of the battlefield, and anyone unwilling to accept that should quit now and stop wasting everyone's time. Before the briefing ended, a student in a suit in the crowd called everyone around him trash for being afraid, and when someone challenged him on it, he offered to cripple the person himself. The instructor ignored the exchange entirely. He added one final detail: once inside the range, instructors would not interfere in conflicts between students. Taking tokens, fighting, all of it was permitted. Su Hong noted that immediately. Engaging other participants in the mountains was a direct source of martial Dao points, and the camp had essentially built that incentive into the assessment itself. The assessment started and students rushed into the forest. Su Hong held back and let the initial surge settle. Further in, a student in a well-fitted suit had already stopped another participant and put him on the ground, announcing he was happy to send him home early. Su Hong watched from a branch above. The fighters were weaker than the camp's reputation had suggested, and hunting beasts would yield more martial Dao points than dealing with opponents at this level. Then the suited student grabbed the downed participant by the collar and told him that no amount of hard work could ever close the gap that generations of family accumulation created. He called him trash and told him to shut up when the participant tried to respond. Su Hong dropped from the branch. He told them to stop, smiled, and asked if they wanted to fight him instead. The suited student dismissed him as more poor trash and questioned whether he had any standing to involve himself. Su Hong clarified he was not asking out of concern for either of them. He wanted them to come at him together. The suited student lunged. Su Hong countered before the strike landed and sent him stumbling back in a single move. The second student could not track the speed at all, struggling to understand how someone at a similar cultivation level had just lost in one exchange. Su Hong turned to him and said it was his turn, then put him down with a decisive staff strike.
With that, the story comes to an end. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe to Senpai Respawn